The Sovereignty of Powers, Duties and Oath Act, i.e., the Great Oath. The following is complex, for it is what is needed. The sovereignty of powers states who is and who is not sovereign of this land. Acknowledgement of the character of the signers of the Constitution. We have evolved past that. Starts on slide 2. Acknowledgement of the real legal holders of sovereignty under the Constitution. Starts on slide 3. Acknowledgement of employment of all members of the federal government. Starts on slide 5. Acknowledgement of the need for changes to presidential residence requirements. Starts on slide 6. Acknowledgement of the need to change the presidential oath of office. Starts on slide 7, ends on 8. My whys on the need to change the presidential oath of office. Starts on slide 9, ends on the main presentation end, slide 13. The Sovereignty of Powers, Duties, and Oath. Act of 2026, Particulars for Future Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. Title I, Preamble. We the People do move that there needs to be changes made to Section 1 of Article 2 of the Constitution of the United States. Section 10101. Acknowledgement of the character of signers of the Constitution. We the people did form this country, and we the people do fully acknowledge that, though at the time of the writing of this Constitution, it was written by mostly landed gentry who purposely wanted to codify the power of the land for the landed gentry. In doing so, we fully announce to the world that that concept is no longer considered proper in a civilized nation. Section 10102. Civilization has evolved beyond that. Just as we no longer find it civilized to own other human beings, nor to treat any woman as simply chattel to her father or husband. No, we have moved past that, and other strange notions that the writers may have had about what is right, proper, and moral. Further, we do note that we do find that the Constitution's biggest failure is that it does not clearly state that the people of the United States are all equals in rights and powers, that no one is to have more rights or powers than another, nor, convexly, that no one is to have less rights or powers than another. We the people do rejoice in the fact that all human beings living upon our lands have equal rights. Section 10103. The legal holders of sovereignty. That the only separation of powers and rights exists in 3 factors. A. Citizenship. This gives individuals the right to vote, to remain within, and to move about this country without restrictions, except for special circumstances. 1. As opposed to legal or illegal residence. B. Status between minor and major. Based on the age of majority, the voting age set by this Constitution. 1. This is meant to set a clear separation point between childhood and adulthood. 2. This dividing line is meant to note that we provide additional protections for our young, to note their legal immaturity in many matters. A. It is thus required that they have proper legal guidance and/or guardianship. 3. Notably, it notes when one is old enough to vote and to sign contracts on their own initiative. C. This line is also put in place to protect those who have mental disabilities. No matter when these disabilities manifested, no matter how these disabilities came to be. 1. No matter if they happen before birth or are acquired later. 2. No matter if they happen because of genetics, disease, accident, unknown happenstance, or self-afflicted. A. No matter if the manner of the self-afflicted method was known to result in the disability. All members of the U.S. government. No matter if hired by the voters directly, those that are hired by those that are voted in, and on through the chain of hired by hired, are the employees of the U.S. citizenry. As such, are subject to the citizenry of the United States by the articles, sections, clauses, and amendments of the United States Constitution, and by the laws of this country, specifically all laws written by Congress. Section 10104. Proclaimants of false sovereignty. Given that no individual is sovereign of this land, no one can proclaim that they or another is sovereign. If a member of the United States government states they or another is sovereign, this individual needs to be investigated on two fronts. A. Note: upon becoming a member of the United States government, individuals have sworn to comport themselves to the Constitution and the laws of this nation. Thus, these actions can be done without further consent upon verified action. B. 1. Physical and mental examination for signs of mental defect. C. 2. Of actions, activities, and friendships to see if they are working to commit acts of sedition against the United States. D. The laying of false charges of sedition against an individual of the United States government. This could directly lead to charges for the filing of false charges. Charges, under certain circumstances, of themselves having committed a seditious act. 1. Certain high members of the United States could be considered to have laid charges without filing a formal complaint, because of the gravitas of their position within the government. Section 1. Right to Power. SEC 101. Changes to presidential residence. A. Currently Article 2, Section 2, states person except a natural-born citizen or a citizen of the United States, at the time of the adoption of this Constitution, shall be eligible to the office of President. Neither shall any person be eligible to that office who shall not have attained to the age of 35 years and been 14 years a resident within the United States. B. The part of the last line that states, and been 14 years a resident within the United States. C. Should be amended to, and has been in residency in the United States 14 years, and at least half of their lifetime, with the notation that all years in direct service to the United States when outside the United States, serving in the military, law enforcement, or diplomatic services, and the staffs of these groups, or other such service to America, noted in or later added to the Constitution, shall have each and every year, month, and day of service considered in service residency abroad. Section 2, Oath of Office. Section 10301. Changes to the Presidential Oath of Office. A. The paragraph that states, before he enters on the execution of his office, he shall take the following oath or affirmation. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States, and will to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. B. Should be amended to, before entering the executive office, the President-elect shall affirm the duties of the office to the people of the United States of America by stating the following oath. I do solemnly swear before this assembly and to the greater people of the United States, wherever they may be, that I will faithfully execute the office of the President of the United States as laid out in the United States Constitution, and otherwise codified by the laws of the United States, that I will faithfully, honestly, and dutifully, to the best of my abilities, as a duly elected servant to the people of the United States, follow, preserve, protect, support, and otherwise defend the Constitution of the United States and all of its laws, to make sure that the laws, regulations, and otherwise rules of the United States are correct where need be in their foundations to rigorous confirmed fields of study. To never hide the truths of these fields of study from the people of the United States. I shall see that all laws of the United States, its states and territories are properly fulfilled to the benefit of all its people equally and fairly, treating no one greater or worse than another. In doing all of these things, I shall be preserving, protecting, supporting, and defending the citizens and residents of the United States, no matter where they are on earth. I further affirm that the United States has a duty to its people and to the people of the world to preserve, protect, support, and defend the planet we all live upon. I swear and do affirm this oath upon my life, my soul, and my sacred honor. This is a more solemn oath of office. It directly states that the President is the servant of the people of the United States. It directly indicates, as President of the United States, that they have the power to influence the world, and as such has a duty to defend it, because without the world, the United States is literally nothing. No world, no United States. It directly confirms that there is a need for honesty. It is thus the great oath. As such, it should be added to the oaths that all members of Congress, the Supreme Court, the Cabinet, all ambassadors and their deputies, agency heads and their deputies, the presidential staff, and likely everyone who serves in the federal government of the United States of America. All that needs to be done is change office of president to the appropriate office or position. Change duly elected to duly appointed for those who are appointed, and change duly elected to hired by for those who are employees. These actions do directly state that they are all the servants of the people of the United States, and are bound by the laws of the United States and all of its states and territories. Of course, in keeping with my belief that this is the great oath, I ask other countries to look at it and consider changing the words United States to your own country. When I wrote the first draft of this, I was not going for the great oath. I just knew that I had long considered the presidential oath to be too simple, with no bite, no true, outright promise to the people sat behind those words. This is all about a true promise to do right for the people, and so a list of promises to do right by and for them. Along the way, things got added and removed, hopefully getting to a list of promises that everyone can believe in, which is why there are statements that the officeholder, 1. Shall faithfully execute the office, 2. Will faithfully, honestly, and dutifully, 3. Is a duly elected servant to the people, 4. Shall follow, preserve, protect, support, and otherwise defend the Constitution and all of its laws of the United States. 5. Make sure that the laws, regulations, and otherwise rules are correct to rigorous confirmed fields of study. 6. Shall never hide the truths of these fields of study from the people. 7. Shall see that all laws are properly fulfilled to the benefit of all its people equally and fairly. 8. Treating no one greater or worse than another. 9. The United States has a duty to preserve, protect, support, and defend the planet. Those used to be things everyone believed in. Today, I fear, that is no longer true. The promises of truth, justice, equity, and fairness for all used to be at the center of the American way of thinking. But now, justice is no longer equal and fair for all. Right now, it appears many are no longer trying to do that. We are often seeing daily that justice is no longer treating all equally and fairly. Or, as George Orwell wrote in Animal Farm, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Or, for the simple-minded, all humans are equal, but some humans are more equal than others, which is just another way of saying we are better than you. That is not American. It is not what the great gift exchange of the Eiffel Tower and the Statue of Liberty stood for, which is, as the plaque on Liberty's base says, from the new Colossus, not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed, sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. We have clearly lost that, meaning that we have lost our way. I am deeply horrified by that. The world and life itself have never been simple. It is long past time for mankind to note that fact. Man, on the other hand, seeks the simple, bypassing the truth of the complexity of reality. It is long past time for us all to live with that fact. We are afraid of the big bad wolf at the door, even when it is a textbook on everyday scientific principles. I invite you to read on. In the end banner is a reading from Eisenhower on truth and libraries. Never has it ever been so important. Okay, this is not perfect. Zeal may have gotten hold of me while writing this. If you think you can do better, don't just comment. Do something better, and please link this in the description. President Dwight D. Eisenhower. A people that values its privileges above its principles soon loses both. Inaugural Address, Washington, D.C., January 20th, 1953. A sound nation is built of individuals sound in body and mind and spirit. Government dares not ignore the individual citizen. Rally in the public square, Cleveland, Ohio, October 1st, 1956. Democracy is essentially a political system that recognizes the equality of humans before the law. Address to Constituent Assembly, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, August 8, 1946. Today in America, unions have a secure place in our industrial life. Only a handful of unreconstructed reactionaries harbor the ugly thought of breaking unions. Only a fool would try to deprive working men and women of the right to join the union of their choice. Speech to the American Federation of Labor, New York City, September 17, 1952. Don't join the book burners. Don't think you are going to conceal faults by concealing evidence that they ever existed. Don't be afraid to go in your library and read every book, as long as that document does not offend our own ideas of decency. That should be the only censorship. Dartmouth College Commencement Exercises, Hanover, New Hampshire, June 14, 1953. In the long perspective of history, the right to vote has been one of the strongest pillars of a free society. Our first duty is to protect this right against all encroachment. State of the Union Message, Washington, D.C., January 7, 1960. The opening for the Constitution of the United States. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. President Franklin Roosevelt. We must especially beware of that small group of selfish men who would clip the wings of the American eagle in order to feather their own nests. Part of a speech delivered on January 6, 1941.